Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Lifetime Angler. So today we're going back to treble hooks, and more specifically we're going into using treble hooks with bait, whether that be a power bait, a dope bait, or anything else like that. We're going to talk about the size hooks you want to use, what types of hooks are out there, and some of the different species that you can go after and target effectively using this method. So let's go ahead, let's dive in and get right into it, y'all. Okay, y'all, so first things first, what species are you going to be using with bait and using a treble hook? In my mind, when I think about this, what I come to and what I use them for, honestly, I use them for catfish and carp. Now, there are people that use them for trout as well. There's people that use them for a whole different host of species out there. But what I'm going to be talking about today is going to apply with trout, carp, and catfish. Mainly the catfish and the carp, because that's where my experience lies. That being said, we're going to touch on the different sizes of treble hooks that I'm going to recommend people use. There's going to be 4 of those. That's going to be a number 6, a number 4, a number 2, and a 1-aught. Now, on hand with me today, all I have is the number 2 and the number 4. Those are my bread and butter. So, to show you and give you kind of an example here, this is a number 2, that's a number 4. So there they are side by side. I hope that comes through on the camera. Your number 6 is going to be a little bit smaller than that number 4. Your 1-aught is going to be a little bit bigger than that number 2. Now, when do you use each? If you're going for carp or trout, I'm going to say you're going to be using the 6 or the 4. Sometimes with trout, I know some people are going to drop down to like an 8. I don't know if you use a 10 or not. That might be going a little too small there. Wouldn't drop much below that 8 unless you're just targeting some little cookie cutter 10 to 12 inch rainbow trout. Now, on the carp end of things, I'm sticking on that 4 and that 6 if you want to go even lighter, for the simple fact that, man, I want to keep it light with carp because they are sensitive to things like that, but I want a heavy enough hook that I'm not worried about barb straightening out or pulling out of the fish. Now, catfish, that's where your number 2 and your 1-aught are going to come in. Anytime I'm dealing with catfish, you can almost guarantee I'm using a size or 2 larger than what I use for everything else. Now, when we're talking about it, you're talking about dough baits, power baits, stink baits, punch baits, dip baits, whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to use. There's a couple different types and varieties there. You can use just a bare treble hook like this. A lot of the stink baits around here, you tie it on, punch it into the tube, twirl it around with a stick or whatever, pick it up, the bait clings to it just fine. There are some baits, however, that they don't stick to just a bare treble hook that well. So you've got things like this, which is basically just a sponge around a treble hook. And you can buy these, but I'll tell you real quick, a $1 sponge at Walmart or wherever, and a regular old treble hook, cut it out, punch a hole in it, it's the same thing. Then you have some of these that are designed, this is just little rubber neoprene tube, get your bait all stuffed up and mashed in there real well. Has the sponge on it again. So you have stuff like that. You have treble hooks that just have a little spring wrapped around them that I've used and work okay in the past. Realistically, if you're using something that's more of a dough with some sort of fiber in it, or if you're using something like power bait where you can really mold it and it'll stay, a bare treble hook's going to be just fine for you. Now, let's go ahead, let's talk what are you doing? How are you fishing this? It's bait fishing, guys. Most of these applications, you're casting that out there or you're dropping a line vertical. Anytime you're using these treble hooks and you've got a bait like a dough bait, stink bait, anything like that on there, I'm not going to recommend that you're trolling that or dragging that. You're going to fly through bait. You're going to fight keeping bait on on the hook itself or on the bait holding tube, whatever like that. Just because you're passing more water over it, and those baits by design are slowly going to dissolve away. But so you're going to cast it out there, guys. As soon as you notice, I don't know, I'd say maybe 20-30 minutes in, you notice that bait's starting to go away, it's time to rebait. If you're sitting out there and you've got a sponge and it's still brown, but you look at it and yep, that's a sponge, you don't have bait. You've got a scent, but your odds of getting hit are gone. Something else. These little treble hooks, and this will go to the carp end of things. I use it for catfish too. But if you go and buy just some simple biscuit dough, not fishing tackle, nothing, walk into your grocery store, go down the aisles of the groceries, pick up just the cheapest biscuit dough you can find. Make little balls of that, punch it around that treble hook, cast it out there, carp, tear it up. It's cheap, it's easy. If you've never fished for carp before, you're missing out because there is a heck of a fight on the other end of that line, even with just a 3-4 pounder. So if you give that a try, use some lighter line, 6-4 pound test line. Try to get away with as small of a hook as possible, but these fish do pull dread, they do fight hard, so set your drag, and y'all, it's gonna be a blast. But that about covers up what I've got for treble hooks as far as bait fishing goes. If y'all have got any tips or comments or anything for people that watch this, go ahead and put them in the comments. Otherwise, y'all hit the like button. And until next time, y'all stay safe and tight lines.